Alright guys, real quick, this is just a disclaimer before we get into it. I think I referred to this guy as WARDOG through most of the video, which is correct. I think at one point I corrected myself to GUNDOG, and I don't know why I did that. There was something in the back of my brain while I was shooting that made me say, that's wrong, it's GUNDOG, and I have no idea why. So just relax. This is BadCube's WARDOG, and apologies for any confusion on my part near the end of the video. I'd been talking for a while and just my brain just went... Anyway, let's get to it. And here's the video review for BadCube's WARDOG, their take on Warpath, obviously. As you can see, a big red tank. This is a test shot. You'll probably hear that a few times throughout this review. I do like to make that clear, just because there are a few bits that are a little loose, a little wobbly, that should be fixed on the final version. So don't, if you see something that just flips a little loosely, it probably is test shot. I know they're aware of some of these issues and are fixing them. So again, just a disclaimer, this is a pre-production version and not entirely indicative of the final product. So yeah, here he is. He's a tank, and really the only functionality you're going to get out of him in tank mode is his turret rotates, and the cannon here can move up and down. That's a transformation joint there, and the way the turret transforms into the torso bits of the robot is actually pretty cool. But we'll get to that when we get to that. He does have treads, but they're non-working treads because they do split and fold up. There's no little wheels on the bottom, so he's just a good solid tank. And you notice there's a nice plate here on the bottom, so he just looks like a nice solid tank. There's not a whole lot, aside from the panel lines. There's not a whole lot to indicate that this is a robot here in alt mode. He is a little bulky. He's big. There he is with the Legends Warpath. I had intended to bring the Deluxe Warpath from a couple years ago as well, but I couldn't find it. And only after I had left the house tonight did I realize that I do have the Strika mold from BotCon a couple years back up on my shelf, and I could have grabbed her, but oh well. But so here he is with the new Legends Warpath, just to give you an idea of the size of him. He actually is much heftier and larger in size here than the Deluxe in hand. So yeah, rotating turret, cannon up and down, has a little slight tilt to it. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of meaningful articulation or... this piece right here should be tucked under this tab. But anyway, articulation here or movement in tank mode, which for a tank kind of makes sense. Now, to start off transformation, you want to pull the treads out just a little bit, which will release these tabs, and you can pull this whole shield plate off the bottom. Come on. There we go. It comes off, and there are functions for this in robot mode. First off, you can see his weapon. His handgun is here, which is just pegged on by a couple of pegs here on the front into the front of the shield. And this shield itself, you can see, has a handle that flips out, and then this piece kind of tabs in down there and forms kind of a riot shield for robot mode. You can also fold up like this and store on his back in robot mode, and you can plug the gun in so you can have all this tucked away in bot mode as well, which is pretty nice. But anyway, we'll leave it here in riot shield mode, put the gun off to the side for the time being. Now, there are a lot of panels. You can see, once you get the shield off, you can see it's kind of flat all up in here aside from the treads. Like, everything is kind of pushed up near the front. There's a lot of empty space in here because there's a lot of folding and flipping in transforming him into bot mode. We'll try to get it done as gracefully as possible. There are a few bits that might cause some issues. I've been practicing this all day, so hopefully it should go off without too much of a hitch. So first off, back here, right between the... from the front, the third and fourth large wheels, you want to unattach those. They tab in together like this. And you can split the front. You pull. There's a couple little tabs that go into the front here. Kind of pull the front pieces out. Pull these panels down there. You can see his robot mode fist. We're going to start working on the legs here. You can see his legs up here, folded up. So the feet come down on this hinge right here. These tank treads fold back like that. Fold in half, that's going to be the bulk of his feet. The inner piece is here. Untab, fold down, fold flat, and slide in to his foot just like that, and that's going to form, again, part of his the bottom of his foot. And you bring these down like this to form flat feet. You can, this piece rotates up to form the angle of the tread, but for his foot mode, you bring it down like that, and it matches up and makes a flat foot there. You can also use that as articulation in foot mode. Unpeg these pieces right here from the side. They peg in right here, so you want to lift these up a little bit and slide them out. This one's always a bit of a pain. There we go. And then these pieces come out. Here at the knees, you slide these out here at the knee piece. And then these are actually pegged on. You can see there's a peg there that pegs into the side of the leg. That locks them into place for tank mode. So you want to unpeg these before you try to fold them down, or you will end up tearing those pegs off. So rotate them down like this. And rotate the whole assembly down around like that, and flip that piece over. So knee down like this, and then fold this down. You can see this piece right here that was tabbed in. This whole thing folds forward into, I'm going to make sure this tab goes between these two black pieces right here. So fold this around and tab it in. You can see there's a peg hole right there in the front. Tab it through, and then those pieces, like I said, these pieces form the inner calf there. And then the knee joint you slide back in like that. So tab that in, slide that in. Bring the foot up, and the foot hinge again, it kind of sits down there in between the peg. And again, you can lift that up if you want it to be taller. It's a pretty sturdy hinge, but it's supposed to come up and set the foot there in front of the leg. And there's pretty much the entire lower body of this guy together. Rotate this so this piece faces forward. And then we'll go ahead and pull the arms out like this. This shoulder piece right here slides in to form the shoulder. You want to unpeg the tread off of that. The tread peg's on there. Fold this up and slide. Again, the shoulder piece right here slides to form the back of the shoulder. And then this piece, once you want it so that these kind of little turret windows or, window slots come up, and then when you bring this whole assembly forward, this is going to be his crotch plate. You want to lift this up, and when you're doing it, you want to bring this down and tab these two pegs right here into the back before you tab the front down. You can bring this down and tab the front end, but then it makes it impossible to get this in, because you kind of want to bring this down and slide it into the back here, just like that. Clip it in there first, and then fold the rest of the assembly down and peg this piece onto the front. And there you've got his waist assembly done. This panel right here lifts up like this. It's on a ball joint right here. You want to rotate it around like that, and then just kind of lift this up and let that hang down out of the way for the time being. And now we get to the turret transformation, which is actually pretty cool. So the turret transformation, you split it in half, just like this. Split these two pieces out, and they swing out on these little hinge pieces here. Come on. There we go. Out and about like this. And then this piece right here flips over, and that's where his head is hiding. So you flip that over, and then fold his head forward. There's a peg here that just pegs on, just like that. And then this whole piece raises up. So now that red piece is revealed to form the torso here. And once that's done, these pieces fold in. You can see there's a longer peg right here on each side of this, and there's two peg holes up here. There you go. You can see them right there, up inside here. And you have to make sure that this is, when you get to that point, you have to make sure that this is flipped up so this red piece isn't in the way. This maroon piece right here will block them if you don't have this all the way up. But then you fold this under. The black piece comes, so you got the back. You want the black piece to come up, and then fold this under into the torso, and push it all the way in so this tab right here can tab into the piece. It's really hard to show off because you have to have it at just the right angle, because Like I said, if you have this leaning forward too much, you can see that red piece up here butts into the turret piece. So you need to make sure this is all the way straightened up. But that'll fold right in and peg in underneath there. And same on this side. Once you have one side done, it's a little easier to get this done without hitting that red piece. Whoops. Bring that up like that. And then underneath there, again, take that tab and make sure it pegs up into the body. And now the turret has become his torso. Stand him up here. Now these pieces, in tank mode, they've already kind of, you can see this one's still in its tank mode position. This one's slid out a little bit. These pieces in tank mode are sitting like this. So you want to slide these pieces out on this metal bar. And then they come up. And again, they slide out here as well on this post. So I'm going to slide them out a little bit and rotate the shoulder joint around this tab. And once this is slid up, you again, hang down. Hang down on the back for a minute here. This piece comes up, around in. This little tab right here tabs into this slot here on the side, and then there's a little peg hole right here that pegs into this peg on the back of the turret piece. And you just plug that in like that. There you go, just like that. And same on this side. Rotate the shoulder up and around, bring it up, and then tab it into there. Just like that. It's not as secure until you get everything else plugged in, but that's where these go. This piece comes up, and you want to fold this up. We make sure these are spread all the way out, because this piece comes up and over like this, and you want to make sure these pieces fold up into here, because there's a couple little grooves here on the back of this gray piece. Yeah, you can kind of see it right there, that these sit into like this. And then this piece comes up and tabs in. You see this tab right here tabs right in here behind his head. Just like that. And then you tab these back in if these come loose. It's got a loose hip there, but again, test shot. Now, coming up here to the, see if we can't get a little bit more light on this guy. Why is the, Usually I can make the light. I can change the lighting on this, but it just doesn't want to let me. There we go. Okay, whatever. So yeah, the arms with these, you want to make sure these treads are kind of out of the way. They're on a little hinge here. Right here is the elbow joint, and in order to make it work, you kind of have to slide the lower half forward like that, and then it rotates down. Just like that, and that gives you an elbow joint. And then this piece you can just fold up against the back of his arm, just like that. There's a little hinge under there. You can see it right here that folds up flat once you get the elbow out. So again, slide the lower half forward, just like that, and then rotate the elbow down, and then you can take this piece and slide it flat up against the back of his arm. There we go. And kind of snap these pieces. You can see there's a little circular piece in here that snaps over that piece, and that locks the shoulders into place. And there he is in robot mode. And again, he's big, he's bulky. He does have the treads hanging off his arms and his feet. But again, you've got a little bit of ankle tilt there thanks to the hinge. If you want to make him be a little taller, you can extend that ankle joint up a little bit. I like to have him down. Oh, this piece. Oops, forgot to fold that piece down. Okay, just like that. That piece just kind of folds down there behind the leg. Just like that. So yeah, his turret still moves. Oh, actually, it doesn't move up and down thanks to that red piece. So my apologies. I was going to say you can still move his turret a little bit. The turret does not extend or collapse. It's kind of short in tank mode and a little long in robot mode, but it's just the way it is, I guess. But it's done in such a way that it's yeah, I think it works for either. There we go. His head has a side-to-side swivel and can look up and down. The neck piece underneath. He's got ball-jointed shoulders. Come here, stay together. He does have a bicep swivel, elbow swivel. He does have a wrist swivel. He does have his waist swivel. Universal hips. You see they do ratchet back and forth. He's got a pretty decent knee joint, as well as the ankle tilts. And like I said, if you want, for whatever reason, if you need to have that piece tilted up for a pose, you can do it, although it's much more stable if you leave that folded flat as a foot. Now this shoulder is a little loose, but again, test shot. Like I said, he has the gun and the shield. They're a little hard to get into his hands because there's some tabs on here, but the way his hands work, he does have posable fingers, but they're all one piece. And so you kind of have to get the gun around his fingers like that, and then fold his fingers and his hand in together to get this to line up right, to get it to tab in. It's like I said, this is the worst part of it, getting all this to tab in. But once you get it done, he holds his weapon very securely. Same with the shield. It's a little harder to do because it's down in the shield, but it's the same type of thing where you just kind of got to get it in there. And kind of getting it around the hand into the tab is a little bit rough, but once you do it, he holds it pretty solidly. Now we'll just have him hold it like that. But, oh, well, okay, I guess we won't. Come on, tab in. Like I said, this is frustrating because the tab's on a hinge, and you can't really get behind. There we go. There we go. Now he's got his riot shield. So you can have him like that, all ready for war, which is, considering his name's WARDOG, not bad. And like I said, he can store on the back. Oh, come on. Easily. It's a little wobbly and loose, but if you want, you can... and you can store just the shield without the gun, obviously. So you fold this in like this, and then fold the shield in half just like this. Tab his gun on. And then these little clips right here. And this is, and again, I don't like doing this. There's a couple little clips right here on the shield that fold in, that clip over his backpack like this, which we've undone. And you can store that on his back if you wish. You can tab it in there, you can tab it in lower, but he is capable of carrying that around without having to hold it in his hands if you want. So it's a little parts for me, and if you want, honestly, you can have the tank and the robot mode. You could take that whole plate and gun and keep it in the box if you want. He still turns into a tank without it. It just helps fill in the bottom if that's something you're concerned about. All right, let's get this guy focused in again. Come on, focus. I don't know why that. There we go. Let's do it like that because the light meter just doesn't want to let me lighten it up a little bit. Some size comparisons real quick. Here he is with, again, that aforementioned Legends Warpath. So you can see he is fairly large. Here he is with BadCube's Brawny, the Brawn they did a couple years ago. I guess it was about a year and a half ago. Anyway, there they are. You can see the Warpath or WARDOG is much larger. Gundog, I think is what his name is. I keep wanting to call him WARDOG. So yeah, there he is with Brawny. Here he is with Toy World's Shinebug, just because Shinebug has been going pretty much everywhere with me, and I love him. And for an official comparison again with another mini-bot, here he is with Masterpiece Bumblebee. He's roughly Voyager-ish in height. He's not as big as the Deluxe, or he's not as small as the Deluxe. Like I said, he's got a bit of bulk when you have that backpack attached. Not so much when you take that off. But all, he's a good stocky Warpath. I do wish maybe they could have made this telescoping, just to have that collapse in just a little bit onto his chest, like if that could collapse into this inner barrel. But all in all, it's not too bad. It's not, if you have the original toy, it's better than that in comparison. And he should have a cannon on his chest. It's really not too bad. I just wish it could shorten just a little bit for robot mode. But yeah, aside from a few looseness issues, again, because this is a test shot figure and not a full final production sample, you can see that this shoulder's a little loose on this side too, which I expect to be fixed on the final version. He's pretty cool. He's a nice. His colors are perfect. I feel like they really got the maroon down. It's a really nice looking Warpath, and he's got some detail on him without being excessively detailed, and I dig it. It would have been nice if maybe these could have folded up to sit up here on the back shoulder versus down on his forearm. But he's got big, solid feet. He's a nice, big, chunky guy, and he looks like what I'd want out of a Warpath. While he's not in scale with some of the other mini bots in other lines, and even with Brawn, it'd be nice if they were all a universal height. As a standalone Warpath, he's pretty great.